Please welcome Mr. Todd Cordy.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. As I'm sure most of you have been experiencing technical issues, and today, unfortunately, the same has happened to me. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for joining me today. Welcome to another session for preschool with Study Week or Minggu Belajar with MTA. Thank you so much for joining us. Could everybody just give me a wave if you've already attended another MTA session? If you give us a wave. Great. Okay, so we have a lot of new people here as well. Fantastic. Thank you. Let's get started so we have enough time to cover all that we need to cover today. We're going to start with a quick little warm-up activity. To start with, great. So again, please at any time feel free to look at the chat box. Miranda will be keeping an eye on the chat box for me. So if you have any questions, we might leave them until the end probably, but feel free to ask a question at any time. And also I'll try to keep an eye on the chat box too. So we're going to start with a warm-up activity that is an alphabet song. I suppose one of the things that we want to test first with kindergarten is that they recognize letters and sounds. So let's start with this. And you put your hand up. You can either do that in real life or virtually through the reactions tab at the bottom of the screen. When we sing the letter that your name starts with, I want you to put your hands on your head. So for example, I'm T, Todd, so I can, when we sing A, B, C, D, F, G, when it gets to T, then I put my hands on my head, okay? So you're gonna be my little kindergarten students for this activity. Let's try.
Track 2, page 6.
ABC song.
Get ready.
Let's sing along.
Because you'll be up first.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
We get the idea. So a fun little activity I do with, once we've taught the alphabet, they can recognize the first letter of their name is they put their hands up or hands on their head, some action when you're singing along. Great. And here's another activity I do. Again, it's with the alphabet, but you can use this for any vocabulary or to review anything. So hands up if, so for example, I might say, hands up if your name starts with T. That's me. Hands up. That's me. Hands up if your name starts with F. F. Put your hands up if your name starts with F. I can see some people with names starting with F, but they're not putting their hand up. Hands up if your name starts with A. Your name starts with the letter A. Put your hands up. What about the letter S? If your name starts with the letter S, put your hands up. I can see some people whose name starts with S that are not putting their hand up. Great. Okay, let's get on with what we're talking about today. Assessment for preschool. Probably one of the most challenging things to do. But I'll try to give you some ideas about the areas that we need to test for preschool. Again, I'm not sure which curriculum your school is following exactly or what your course goals or expectations are for your school, but I think I'm going to cover the most relevant that should be tested. We're going to look at how to do it. We're also going to look at a way to keep track of progress and achievement. Again, you might have your own way, but I like to make sure my checklist is quite skills-based, and then we have a discussion. Again, that the activities from today will be adaptable for different levels of kindergarten, different topics, different learning goals. So first of all, we need to ask ourselves before we test, how can we test students online, and which English skills can be tested for preschool? This is for preschool English. We're just focusing on English today. Of course, you will need to test other things, but I'm just here for the English area. So in the chat box, we can type, can you please type your answers to these questions? And then we will choose maybe a couple of people to discuss their ideas. Okay, so in the chat box, could you please write, how can we test students online? And which skills can be tested for preschool? Okay, so in the chat box, we'll just do a quick brainstorming. Let's say we have 2 minutes to brainstorm these ideas.
Okay, educators, please put your idea on the chat box and then I will choose several people and then we can discuss it together.
Thanks, Miranda.
Okay.
Speaking, good.
Speaking.
Listening, reading,
Listening.
writing, giving them a worksheet. Great. Yeah, speaking's one of the, listening and speaking are the two kind of skills we would test most for this age group. Do the action, yep. That's like a listen to an instruction, probably something like that. Yep, an oral test and a worksheet, good. Get 3-letter words if we're doing, yeah, CVC, or that could be sight reading, depending on where you're at. Sight reading should be done after phonics. You finished your phonics training, and typically we would do that after they know all of the letters of the alphabet. Yep, great flashcards. Yes. So again, I'm focusing today on what to do online. However, you can adapt some of these activities when you're back face-to-face, hopefully sometime, we're not sure when, but you'll be able to adapt these to be online. And you'd probably use flashcards instead, but for me today, I'm using the PowerPoint screen because then I don't have to print anything, I don't have to make anything, and it's clear visual on the screen for students. My handwriting is also terrible, so great. Let's take a look. This is, again, if we look at the best tools for the job for online testing, we're going to probably use an online video call platform like we're using now, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet, depending on your school's policy. And then probably either PowerPoint or Google Slides. Google Slides does actually have the ability to then be manipulated, but for young children, it's too challenging. It really should be them looking at something and reacting by either pointing or I'll show you some different ways to get responses there. But we're not going to go off and look at different apps today. We're just doing everything through Zoom and PowerPoint. Why? Because young learners, especially kindergarten learners, it's too difficult for them to switch to a different screen but listen to you. No, as you know, we're just keeping it simple, especially for testing. Testing should be stress-free. Yeah, but however you're doing it, most of the time, I say it needs to be done individually. I would say most of the time it needs to be done individually, especially if you're doing phonics test, like official testing we're talking about here. We're not talking about practice or class. I would encourage individual tests, particularly for the things I'm looking at today. That shouldn't be too long. The 3 things I'm looking at today, which I think cover the basics, are phonics, vocabulary, and comprehension. And I think this is a good benchmark for kindergarten. Again, if you have English lesson every day of the week, Monday to Friday, perhaps you can start to test other things like more formal reading or writing. But for kindergarten, it's more comprehension. I'll take a look at what that is. So let's take a look here. Really, if we talk about the basic aims of phonics, is they need to know, to start off with, this is like kindergarten A, the name of each letter, what it looks like, the sound it makes, and how to write it. For Teka A this semester, maybe we're still tracing, but maybe by next semester they can start to write letters, or at least copy. You know, they can trace some and then copy some more. So here, I find it very useful to put my testing aims into can-do statements, because then it's either yes or no, basically. Especially for phonics, things like can identify and say name of sounds of letters. That's kind of like Tekka A aims. I would say one letter for a lesson to begin with. So if you're having 2 or 3 English lessons a week, then you're just doing 2 or 3 letters a week. So 1 lesson per letter if it's new. Again, depending on your school, depending on how much English influence they have and what level you're at, but it's a good base mark. Yes, Fanny, you'll get a copy of the PDF of the slides later after this session, so don't need to worry about taking notes. You'll get everything that you see here. The next level, after they know all of the individual letters, would be the CVC word, perhaps. So again, depending on your curriculum, these are just some ideas that I have. Can segment and blend. They can identify and blend double consonants like BL, CL, FL, like FL, KL, BL, and digraphs, and then can trace or write the word. So here, saying and identifying are our 2 key words here. And a digraph is 2 letters that make one sound, like CH makes ch, SH makes sh. It's not s. We don't say hair, we say chair, so it's a digraph. Great. Now let's take a look, how do we put that into a marking scheme? Sometimes we have something nice to look at that's good to give to parents to recognize, but for my own purposes, I'm going to show you what I use for my for keeping track of my own students' work. So I have a Excel sheet for each student. That's for the whole year to keep track of this testing, and say maybe test 1 that we might have, I'm testing these 6 letters that we've learnt over 2 weeks, perhaps. And a tick means that they can identify it. That means you have 2 or 3 letters on the screen and they can choose, you say, where is A? Or which is A? I'm going to show you activities for this in just a minute. Can say the sound, can say the name, and can trace. So say the sound is A, B, K, D, E, F, but the name is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And usually we do capitals for the name and small letters for the sound. And can trace. This is Tekka A. This is the first test I'm doing, so I'm just tracing at that stage. Then the next week we review the previous ones to make sure that we cover the ones that they missed, add in the new ones. And if they still can't get some, for example, G and J cause issues in English, then they still keep added. That means I know exactly every student's what they can and cannot do. It looks quite detailed, but it's the only way I can really keep track. And then I might give some extra work, an extra worksheet to the students who are still getting G and J mixed up, perhaps. Anyway, so I have that. That's just for phonics. We'll come back and look at it because I have another tab for vocab, another tab for comprehension. So whatever system you're using, remember that here is the aims. So what does that mean? That means I need to develop a test task to test that skill. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're going to do that. You will be my students, so I will ask you to participate in these activities, just so you're not listening to me talk and talk and talk as well. Of course, it depends on your curriculum. And also when I'm testing students, I have my pen and paper ready because trying to write down test results on the screen while I'm zooming, and no, it's too difficult. So here, the very simple, if we're still doing just letter recognition, what's this letter's name? Okay, and what does it sound like? Now, of course, for my students, I'm not having the questions on the screen. It would look like this. Yeah, words are distracting, so you need to make sure you know what you're saying, but what's this letter? What does it sound like? So they're the 2 questions for basic TECA A first semester. We want to get them recognizing all of the letters. It's fun to use some pictures or something interesting to look at, but don't make it too distracting. Another way we can do this, if the student doesn't answer, we can have a backup question. And here is, for example, what's this letter's name? And the student doesn't respond. Then I might say, is it C? Is it D? So I can ask a backup question to help them, depending on how much help you want to give them. If we look at some testing for phonics, it means if they don't know it, we just move on, or we come back to it later. But I think it's nice to give them a little bit of a backup. Again, what does this sound like? Is it A? Is it B? Or is it K? So you can give them choices of the name or choices for the name or the letter. Again, if you want to, you could put the letters together on the screen, but I think it can be a little bit confusing for especially beginner learners. I would, capital, what's the name? What does it sound like? C is K, B is B, A is A. So you can get them to do a little chant, because chanting is a bit more fun as well. Again, this is something that you should have done in class, because they should recognize it. Oh, they've done that many times. They've done that activity so that they know what to do. Another way to test identifying is I say the letter and the students show me the number. So for example, I say B. And if you are my students, what would you do? If I say B, what number is B? Is it 1, 2, or 3? You can show me with your hands. Yep, so then they do this. Which letter is A? So you can test sounds and names at the same time. Which number is A? Which number is B? Which number is C? So this is identifying, and they just have to use their fingers. So it's quite a simple task. You could say what color is K? What color is K? It's green. Good. What color is B? What color is B? It's good. So let's test that. I'm going to unmute. Miranda, could you please choose maybe 5 volunteers to do this? Remember, in class, you would just be doing this individually, but for today, we have a lot of participants. So Miranda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please choose maybe 5 people to unmute, and they can be my students there?
Okay. The first one, we'll choose Miss Aminah Tifazrin. Please unmute yourself, yeah, Miss Aminah. And then Miss Morita Levy. Okay, the third, Miss Rini Weo. Next, Mr. Roy Munandar. And then the last will be Miss Falalah Mudin.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to ask a question like you are my students, and I want you just to either show the answer with your hands or shout out the answer if the answer is about the color. Okay, are you ready, my volunteers? Are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Yes.
Great.
Yes,
Okay.
ready.
Great.
Ready.
Okay, what number is B? What number is B?
2. 2.
Good. What number is A? What number is
1.
A?
1.
Good. And again, depending on the level of students, they can just even show their fingers, so they don't need to say the number. So it's quite easy. Now let's try again. What color is B? What color is B?
Red.
Red, good. And again, you
One.
can use this for Indonesian phonics as well. It's quite easy. What, asking them in Bahasa to, do the same task. What color is A? What color is A? It's
Blue.
blue. Very good.
Blue.
Fantastic. Thank
Blue.
you. Yes. Can we have volunteers? Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. And can I have 5 new volunteers?
Okay.
Please, Miranda, 5 new ones.
Okay, 5 new volunteers. Maybe you want to volunteers? You can use the raise hand feature.
You can use your raise hand if you want to volunteer. Great.
Okay, Miss Made. Okay.
Great. Some other people I
Next.
think have raised their hand. Good.
Okay, Mr. Dimas Pratama. And then next, Miss Wendy Juliasari. And then Miss Dian Sabatun Okta and Miss Saidatun.
Oh, benar. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, are we ready, volunteers?
Ready.
Great. So now
Ready.
this time it's the opposite. So this time I say the number, I say the color, and you say the sound. Okay? So this time I just want you to say the sound. So it's A, B, or K.
B.
Good. Okay, so number 2. What's the sound? Number 2? Very good. Number 3? Good. Number 1? Great. Now I want you to say the name. So it's A, B, C. Okay, are you ready?
Yes,
Number 3.
ready.
Number 3, what's the
Yes,
name?
E.
C. Good. The name of number 1.
A. B.
Number 1?
A.
A.
A. Good. Number 2?
B.
B.
Fantastic.
B.
And one more time. What sound is red? What sound is red?
B.
B. Good. What sound is green? What sound? Green. Excellent. What sound is blue? Good. So with numbers and colors, thank you. Can we mute everyone, please? Thank you. And so we can either do through number or through color. Yeah. Any other ways that we could do that? We could put a picture of a superhero, perhaps. So it could be, instead of 1, we might have minions. 2 might be Batman. Depends on what your students know. But numbers are probably the easiest way to do that. Again, we have to do this individually. Why? Because I can't hear or see properly if it's lots of students together. So this has to be done individually. Another way we can test this is, again, after they know colors, what color is it? So for example, I say the sound and students say the color. So for example, G, G. What color is G, G? Miss Rini, are you there? Yeah, you can be my student. I'll just take one student volunteer.
Okay.
Miss Rini, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, Miss Rini. Rini, how are you today?
I'm good.
Great,
Thank
and
you.
where are you in Indonesia?
In Surabaya.
In Surabaya, okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So you will be my student, okay, Miss Rini?
Okay, sure.
Are you ready? I will say the color and you will say the letter, okay?
The name of the letter.
Actually, it will be the sound because it's lowercase. Typically, when I'm testing, I use lowercase for sound, uppercase for name. So let's do the sound, okay?
Oh, the sound, okay.
Yep. Are you ready?
Ready?
Red. Red.
Ah.
Good. Green. Great, great. Purple.
Purple. D.
Good. Blue.
B.
Thank you. So I can test a group of letters together like that. Thank you. Could you please put your microphone on mute, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And of course, you can do the opposite. So, for example, sorry, which letter is pink? That's what I just did, sorry. But before that, you could say, what color is it? So I say the sound, and you say the color. So, Miss Natasha, are you there, Miss Natasha? Miss Natasha, yes?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Miss Natasha. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. And where are you at the moment?
I'm in Semarang.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
So
you.
I will say a sound, and you have to tell me what color it is. Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
Ah, ah.
Red.
Great. K, k.
Purple.
Fantastic. G, g.
Yellow.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Again,
sir.
the students have to know the names of the colors first. So perhaps just make sure you don't do this if they don't know the name. You could do it to test Indonesian phonics as well, because we have the same letters. Yep. Okay. The next step after identifying and saying individual sounds is to get this CVC, 3-letter words. We want to get them to segment and blend. Segment is pull apart, blend is put together. So first I say to my students, what are these sounds? It's k, a, t. Okay, and what's the word? Cat. So I want them to tell me the name of each letter for 3-letter words, and then tell me what the word is. It's segment and blend. This is the beginning of how we teach reading. Yep, segmenting the words there. But just one thing here, should we include a picture? Should we include a picture? If we are testing phonics, do not use a picture. Unless you are testing what is the first sound of this word. Why? Because it shows them what the word is, and maybe they remember the word, and maybe they're not reading it. But if we're testing phonics, we want them to identify the word. Again, this is too distracting. We cannot read the word there. So it's better to do something like this. No picture of the word, because then I know they have to be reading it. Then it's a real phonics test, not a vocab test. We can use pictures for testing language in vocab in the next part, but for phonics, especially for individual sounds and this CVC reading, we don't want them to rely on remembering the word from a picture. We want to see if they can actually read the letters. Okay, so we ask the question, what are these sounds? We can point with our mouse. This is k. Great. This is a. This is t. Now say the sounds together. It's cats. Good. Okay, I'm going to choose another volunteer. Miranda, can you choose a volunteer for me, please? Just one.
Miss Sane. Miss Sane? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. You will be the volunteer.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, let me find you on my video screen. Okay, great. Now,
Fine.
okay. What are these sounds? This is?
Yeah.
Good. This is? Good. And this is? Good. Now put them together. It's? Hat. Good job.
Thank you.
We're not testing meaning yet. And one more. Miss, is it Sayin?
Yes.
Great. Now, what are these sounds? This is? Good. This is? Good. And this is? Very good. Let's put them together. It's?
Much.
Excellent. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'll
you.
just mute you now.
You're welcome.
So we can use this approach for any kind of 3-letter word. Yes, we spread the letters out. Don't put them together. Spread them out. Ask, what are these sounds? You can point with your mouse and then get them to put it together. That's segmenting and blending. Okay. We can do this like we did before with numbers, but now we can do it with segmenting and blending. For example, which number is it? So I will say a segmented word and blend it, and then you have to show me the number. Okay, are you ready? So this is just put your hands up to the camera with 1, 2, or 3. Are we ready? K, a, t, cat. What number is that? Can you show me with your hands? Great. People are doing number 2. Fantastic. Correct. What number is this? A, t, hat. It's number 6? No, number 1. Good. So we can use the same approach with numbers. This is the easiest, and this is what we call identifying. It's listening. They can hear, and then they can identify it on the screen. And then it's the other way around. So I would say, okay, Miss Verinda, Miss Verinda, Tiara, Sari, you're there, yes? I'm choosing you as my volunteer. Okay.
Miss Ferninda. Okay.
It's like being on a game show or something, isn't it? Miss Fernanda, are you there?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I will say a number, and I want you to then segment and blend the word. So if I say number 2, you will say k, a, t, cat. Okay? So Miss Fernanda, what about number 3? Number 3. Yeah. Number 3. Good. And together?
Much.
Excellent. Good job. Again, I have no pictures because I want to get them to read the letters, not remember the vocab. Okay? Great. Another way to do this is we can put the letters into circles. That makes it much more visual. So students can, lower level students or students that you think are still having trouble with segmenting, we can do it in circles, and we can use a picture to help them. Maybe we use a picture, maybe we don't. I probably wouldn't use a picture because then I know that they can read the letters and not just remember the word. Okay, so everybody, let's do it together. Are you ready? K, a, t. Together. Good job. Let's do this one now. You do it by yourself. Are you ready? Good. Good job. And together it's excellent. So we can use this for any kind of 3-letter blend that, 3-letter CVC word. Now we're looking at double consonant blends. Double consonant blends, they're not making one sound. They're still 2 sounds. But we practice these in phonics because it's hard for a young mouth sometimes to do sounds like bl, fl, cl. It's a bit difficult. So the question we ask is, what are these letters' names? B, L. What's the sound? B. L. Now say them together. L. So 3 questions. What are these letters' names? Say the sounds. So be B, L together. B. Now say the word. Blue. Very good. We need to make sure that we've taught this word. Previously, this is a target vocabulary word because English spelling is a bit crazy. Okay, who will be my volunteer this time? Miranda, could you please choose one more volunteer for me?
Okay, Miss Retno. Yeah.
Okay. Miss, who was it again? Sorry.
Miss Retno.
Right, Miss Retno.
Yes.
Great. I'm just trying to find you on my video. Where are you? Are you going to wave your hand so I can see? Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, what are these letters' names? This is?
C.
Good. And this is?
L.
Fantastic. Now, what sound? Say the sound. This is? And this is? Good. Now say them together.
Call.
Great. And now, can you say the word?
Clap.
Very good. Thank you for volunteering. So with the double consonant blends, I would approach it like that. This is more like take a B. So they should already know the names and the sounds of all the letters by take a B. Say, my dear. This is digraphs. Now here, what are these letters' names? This is C, and this is H. Now, what's the sound they make when we say them together? It's ch. Very good. Ch. Now, say the word. It's chin. Very good. So here, we want to still ask them the names of the letters, but we want to make sure that they make the sound that is together. Great. Again, no pictures because we want to make sure that they're reading and not just remembering. We can use the which number is it again if that's easier for your students. You know the level of your students and what would be appropriate. Can I get a volunteer, please, Miranda? Another volunteer?
Okay. How about Miss Angel?
Great.
Hi, Miss Angel.
Hello.
Yes, great. Thank you, Miss Angel. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. And where are you at the moment?
Jakarta.
Okay, great. So not too far away. Hopefully the internet connection isn't too bad for you. I think the rain has stopped. Okay, so what will happen is I say the sound and you just show me the number on your hands, or you can say the number as well. Are you ready?
Ready.
Ch, ch, ch. What sound is that? Great, so that's number 2, fantastic. And what about sh, sh, sh is?
One.
Yes, great. When we're doing this, try to repeat the sound so they hear it more than once. Like if you're doing individual sounds, it would be ah, ah, ah. I tend to think 3 times is good so they can hear. Or I might ask, okay, what color is ch? What color is ch, ch, ch?
Red.
Great.
Red.
What color is sh? What color is sh?
Blue.
Fantastic.
Blue.
And now I want you to say this sound, please, Miss Angel. Number 1 is? Fantastic. And number 2 is? Good. So I've tested that they can identify and that they can say. Yep. So identify is through numbers or colors or, I mean, you can't see them pointing to the screen. So we have to think of something different. You could have it like left and right, but left and right is a bit challenging for young learners. They still don't know their name sometimes. So, okay, thank you, Miss Angel. You can mute yourself now. And the final part of phonics is some kind of printed book or worksheet activity. This has to be done by them. We can't do this online for young learners, so this has to be something physical that they do. What I like to do is ask parents to take a video of their child doing the task. A video is better than just a photo. Why? Why is a video better than just a photo? Anybody want to answer that question? You can raise your hand. Kristen says, yes, process. We can see the process. Fantastic. Thank you, Christina. Yes, it's the process. It also shows us how long it takes them to do it, how much help. Yeah, great. Thank you. It tells us, it shows us that they're doing it independently or how much help the parent is giving. So it really gives us a lot more information than just a finished photo. So I would ask parents to video. Yep. Yes. So that's, yes, sometimes parents want to overhelp, as we know in real life, but yes. And just always we want to remind parents that please, don't try to help them much, because I want to see what their real skill is so I can give them extra help if needed. Something like this, for example, this is from one of our series through Uster Publishing, our sister company, publishing house. And I wrote this series for English. It has a lot of exercises that you could use for assessment in there. Now, are there any other options for testing phonics via distance learning? In the chat box, could you write your ideas? And also, Miranda, maybe you'll ask 2 or 3 people. I want to hear what you're doing to test phonics via distance learning, seeing if you're doing something similar, something different, how you're managing it.
Okay. Please,
You can
educators,
type in the chat
share.
box.
Yes, share your ideas about the phonic testing in the chat box. I think everyone's still typing, Mr. Todd.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Or maybe people haven't done formal testing online yet. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Or maybe you can use the raise hand feature. So talk directly to us.
If you want to share your ideas with the group, the more ideas, better.
We got some ideas here. Send voice recorder,
Great.
physical response games, and then, interview method.
Yeah, I think someone has raised their hand, Miranda. Miss Vivek or Mr., I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Who is raised the hand? Okay. No one.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, using an online application. Yeah, flashcards. Some people are saying that they're using a video. Yes, there's lots of ideas. Send the kids sorting pictures and send material. So again, yeah, it depends on how much help your parents are being. Not your parents, the parents of your students, if they're willing to help you out with that kind of management. Or again, some of the ideas that I gave you now can be done one-on-one, just through a video call, and they don't need to have extra materials for that at this stage, except the writing. The writing should always be done still like we used to do it. Yeah, great. Assign letters and make the video while the students make the sound of the letter. That sounds good, a fun activity. Online application, again, I haven't used any online applications today because some teachers find that their kindergarten students are a bit young to use them. But as testing, perhaps, that could also work if parents are happy to help them. Interview method, yep. Give kids video about phonics, and then the kids record. Yep, okay, yeah, sending videos. Yes, so I've done more of a kind of standardized activity ideas there, and just make sure you're keeping track of them on your assessment documents. Okay, great. Let's take a look at the next point here I want to talk about today. So this is now talking about vocabulary. Why is vocabulary a separate thing? Well, with kindergarten, most of the time we're focusing on vocab. So that's what I wanted to give here as our 3 kind of points that we're looking at here. Someone asked me here about show the rules of writing online learning. I'll talk about that later, but basically it would be watching a video and getting them to follow along, but I'll talk about that later. First is identify and say the picture. Next is identify and say it with the word, and tracing and writing. Again, be specific about your goals in your assessment criteria mark. So let's have a look at that, what I've done. It's the same as before, but I have a different page. Get that out of the way. So here, hello, yes. Okay, so here, let's say that my test is, the topic is fruit. So I have my 6 words or 8 words, probably maximum. And they can identify the word, meaning which is an apple, and they have to point to the picture of an apple. Is it number 1, 2, or 3? They can say the word. I just show the picture of the fruit and I say, what's this? Can I identify the word means I've got the word apple, orange, banana on the screen, and they have to tell me which number is the word apple. They can say the word. That means I show them one word and they have to read it. They can trace the word and they can write the word without tracing lines. Yep. And I do this for each topic that I'm doing. So I've got 6 things to test. Depending on my level of students, maybe they're not ready for writing yet. That would be more take a B level, ready to write individually. So you adjust this to suit your own curriculum, your own students. Okay, let's take a look at that in practice like we did before. Also, I'll talk briefly about sight words. There's a great website, sightwords.com, tons of free resources about phonics and sight words, videos to show you how to teach them, printable activities, online activities. So it's a really great website. I'll put that in the chat box in just a minute. Or Miranda, if you could do that for me. It's sightwords.com. It's pretty easy. And you'll get the link in your handout anyway. So the first one is identifying. So I would say, which is the banana? All they have to do is 1, 2, or 3. They don't have to say the number or the word. They just need to show me with their fingers. So that's the easiest way to test vocab in terms of identifying the picture. Identify the word using pictures. Okay, can I get some volunteers? Miranda, maybe like 3 or 4 volunteers, please.
Okay, please use the raise hand feature so we can. All right, we have Miss Sain, Miss Dian, Miss Andina. Okay, I think it's already 3,
Okay.
yeah?
Yep, great.
Okay.
Thank you. So, which number, so which, the question's there on the screen, which is the banana? 1,
Number
2,
3.
Good.
3.
Which is the apple?
Number 2.
Good. Which is the mango?
1.
1.
And for my students for assessment, if they just show me the number with their hands, that's good enough for this first part because it's the easiest, just identifying. So that's like a listening skill that I'm testing. Next step would be the other vocab. Yeah, so I'm only going to put maybe 3 pictures on the screen at once. Otherwise, it's a bit confusing and it's a bit cramped. So which is the durian? Which is the durian?
3.
Good. Which are the grapes?
2.
2.
Great. And which is the orange?
1.
1.
Fantastic. Now I want them to be able to produce the word. So this is just looking at one picture and I say, what's this? So first
Mango.
I've tested if they could
Mango.
understand. Now
Mango.
can they say it?
Mango.
Great. Mango. Where did the man go? Next.
Durian.
Durian.
Fantastic. Durian. Great. Now the next step is, can they identify the word without the picture? Now this is maybe not, this is not Tech A level probably. This is Tech B level. And maybe even next semester even. So I put 3 words on the screen. And again, I say, which is the banana? So it's the same as this activity, but this time I'm not using pictures. This time I'm using words. This is testing, listening, and reading. Okay, can they identify? Again, maybe your students aren't ready for this yet, but it's good to think about more challenging activities. So,
Yes.
which is banana? Which is banana? 1, 2.
1.
Number 1.
Good.
Number 1.
Which is mango?
It's
Number
not.
is no.
No mango. Which is
No.
orange?
Number three.
Number 3.
Good. Which is apple?
Number two.
Number
Number
2.
two.
Fantastic. Thank you.
But I think
Now-
for the children, it's still cannot read. Still
Yes.
cannot reading.
Yes. Yes. So this is only when your students can start to after CVC. So this is not necessarily appropriate for your students. It's just to give you an idea of where they kind of need to be at the end of TECA B. Yeah, because by grade 1, it's expected that they can read words, yes, in English. So this is something to maybe aim towards or start to practice. And another one way to test this is to show the picture and show a word, and does the word match the picture? We say yes or no.
Okay.
And again, on a real test, you wouldn't have these questions and you wouldn't have these here. So it's just the picture and just the word. Okay, everybody, what's this? It's
Apple.
apple. Good. Does this say apple?
No.
Oh.
What's the
Flamingo.
first sound? What's this sound? It's
F.
f. Does apple start with f?
No.
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 Apple starts with
Apple.
apple. Good.
Apple.
So we show them some different words and we get them to say if it matches
Yes.
or not as well.
Yes.
Again, you have to practice this in class before you do it on the test. The test is not the
Thank
first
you,
time they
sir.
should experience this. Yes?
Okay. Yes.
thank
Okay.
you. Again, and you could do the same. And then
Yes.
another way is just individual words. What's this word? Not what's this word. No. What's this word?
Apple.
Apple, good. Now,
Apple.
depending on your aims, maybe you're not doing this yet. So again, on your assessment task, is it just identifying the word? Is it just looking at a picture and telling me what the vocab is? Great. So you can adjust to suit your aims for your test. Now, when we talk about testing sight words, we don't use pictures. Why not?
Don't use picture. Why
Once.
Once.
Yeah, but when I'm testing sight words for vocabulary, I'm not using pictures. Why not?
Why not? Because we want to know the vocabulary and spelling.
Yes, we want to actually test if they can read, not just remember what the word is from the picture.
Yes.
So this is sight reading. This is different to vocabulary from the unit of a book. Sight reading is, can you read this word without decoding? So it's without going, why? Because English spelling is crazy. Yes. It's very irregular. And some words we cannot sound out. Because this would be onke. Onke. But it's once. That makes no sense. So sight reading is those, we start with those difficult high frequency words that students that don't sound like they are spelled. This one here. Often we get students pronounce this as gosh, go. But it's go. O. It's a long O. Like show, go, grow.
Go.
Go.
So, yeah. Bro, go, so.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Can we mute everyone, please, Miranda, for the moment? Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you for your help. Yes. Yes, another one here we're looking at is just focus on sight reading. Yeah, so that's what we're actually testing, is the reading ability. Let me quickly show you this. It's sightwords.com, and I mentioned that before. I'll just put that in the chat box because I've got the site open now. Please take a look at that after the session. And so here we have sight words, we have how to teach it, we have games, and also there's a ton of stuff about phonemic awareness as well. Phonemic awareness should come before sight words. So if you're looking for, as it says here, there's like over 80 different phonemic awareness games. That's great. So there's a ton of stuff on that, which we won't go into, but just that's a great resource. I use this site often when I'm teaching when I need to teach phonics or sight reading. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay. Yeah, so things like the numbers in English, especially words like two, if we sound this out, it would sound like twa, twa, but that's not how we say it. So two is a good sight reading word. One is a good sight reading word. It's those words with irregular spelling that we see frequently. And how we test that is say this word. You can have a flashcard, but no pictures for sight reading. What's this word? If they don't know, then skip it and come back to it as well. Again, that they should obviously have been taught these words. And experts say about sight reading is that 1 word per lesson of English per week. So if you have 3 English lessons, then that's just 3 sight words per week. That's the kind of standard, and you focus on 1 word in a lesson. In the website, it gives you a 5-minute video to show the steps that you should use to practice it. And again, workbooks, worksheets, printed, video, same as before. Any other options for testing vocabulary? Would anyone like to share in the chat box? Miss Marita said, using a flashcard and record your voice. In recording the voice, teacher makes time so the students can follow it and repeat it. Yeah, that could also be good. If you use an app like Nearpod lets students record their answers, but it is a bit challenging to use. You would need to train the parents, teach the parents how to use that. Yep, use a platform for making quiz. Yes, it could be matching words to pictures. Yep, with audio, or even the audio saying the words and they have to choose the picture. Yep. Depending on how much time you have as well, it can be quite time consuming to test all students like this. Yep, word wall application, that's also a fun one to use. Students like that. Today, again, I said I haven't really used many apps because some teachers have said it's too difficult with kindergarten students, or it's too difficult because the parents aren't able to help or are able to help too much. Great, okay. But remember, no matter what activities you do, you need to make sure that your aims are clear. Is it identify the word? That means you have pictures and you say, which is the banana? Or just say, banana. What number? Mango. Which number? Something like that. Great. Okay. So maybe some of you are testing primary. So for primary, definitely we can investigate some apps there. But for TECA, especially TECA A, we're going to probably keep it quite simple. Okay. Now, let's look at the next one. Here is comprehension skills. Okay, so comprehension here, I've got listening, speaking, reading. I haven't really put in writing at this stage because that's something that they have to do by hand, and we've already discussed how to do that. Yeah, so you can give a worksheet, you can send something to the parents to be able to help with testing that. But the things that are more challenging to do online are these 3 things. So that's where we're focusing on that today. So here, some people before talked about how we can test our students, and we talked about following simple instructions physically. So some people said about TPR, total physical response. Then we can also do things like can verbally answer questions about vocabulary. Another is can repeat or read short sentences aloud. We start with repeating and then we move on to reading at a certain stage. And when I say short sentences, it would be something like a 3 or 4 words. Yeah, my name is, or the tiger is sleeping, or whatever it is that you're doing. Can answer verbal questions about a short story. And reading, that's the kind of final goal, I suppose, is can read a short story, which your students may or may not be ready for, especially not this early, and maybe without formal school yet, it's not going to happen. Again, let's take a look at the assessment. So here's my sight words. Sight words also, just to go back a bit about sight words, I've put a scale here for assessing sight words. 0 would be doesn't say the word, 1 is quite slow, 2 is medium, or 3 is fast. So we can also assess sight words not just on a yes or no scale, but it could be also on a how quickly they can do it. That's another option that you may or may not want to use. Or it could be with help or something like that. Okay, let's look at the comprehension task. So here would be unit 1. Yeah, for example, it's myself. We often use that as unit 1. Can respond physically to instructions. Can respond to instructions by coloring or drawing. That is listening. Listening and speaking. Can answer questions about vocab. Can repeat short sentences. This is also in the handouts. This Excel spreadsheet will be in the handouts, so you'll get a copy of this as well. Can repeat short sentences, can answer questions about a story, and reading, can read short sentences. And then it's the same for each unit. Now maybe you're not doing reading yet, so you just adjust it to suit your curriculum or criteria. Okay. Great. Okay, great. Now, something that's simple that we might do with students is with an audio. You could record this, but it probably will be live. Just to do some simple classroom action. So it could be stand up, sit down, and students have to physically do it. Open a book, close a book, hands on heads, hands on shoulders. So one way to test comprehension is listen and students physically respond. Remember that this is the next stage after vocab because they have to understand more than one word. So this is what we call comprehension. We've moved from letters and phonics to vocabulary to phrases and sentences. So that's where we're building up towards this. Any other instructions that people can think of that are useful to teach for the classroom? Or ways that we can test comprehension? We could do this topic-based as well. So for example, if you're doing animals, the instruction is be a cat. Meow. Be a cow. So we can test that their listening is topic-based. Okay, everybody, I'm going to choose some volunteers. Miranda, could you please choose some volunteers, maybe about 3 or 4 people?
Okay.
Everybody can join if you want to, but just 3 or 4 people to have their audio open.
Yes. I will choose Miss Meyrika. And then Miss Devi Febiana.
Great.
Miss Nyamas Ruby. And Miss Fanny Mizu. Okay. Could you please to unmute yourself?
Great. Okay, so we're going to practice this one. Let's practice with the listening to classroom instructions. Could you please respond to my instructions? Okay, are you ready? Everybody can join in if you want to, but we're going to focus on the volunteers that have been chosen. Okay, everybody, could you please put your hands on your head? Hands on your head. Good job. Hands on your ears. Great. Could you please stand up? Stand up. Great. Sit down. Fantastic. Great. Let's do this more topic-based. Can everybody act like a snake? Be a snake, sorry. Be a snake. Good. Be a fish. Be a fish. Great. Be a bird. Be a bird. Good. Be an elephant. Be an elephant. Great. Let's try adjectives now. Be angry. Be angry. Good. Be happy. Be sad. Be tired. Be hungry. Great. So there are some vocabulary. Thanks. So Miranda, can we mute everyone, please, for the moment?
Okay.
Thank you. So for some basic vocabulary, we can get TPR happening, but some topics it's not easy. For example, be a mango. Be an orange. What? So some things are better if we use pictures like fruit, vegetables, food. But sometimes if we have adjectives, sometimes if we have animals, some topics, body parts, real objects. Everybody show me a pencil, you know, show me a pencil. And they hold a pencil up to the screen. So that some topics. Some topics are easy done with acting or using real objects or using the body, but some we have to use pictures for. Edie, yes, great. Talking about in the chat box, we can test prepositions by saying, okay, everybody, let's do that now. Can everybody please show me a pen or a pencil? Can you show me, everybody? Good. Okay, thank you. Let's put the pen on our head. Can you do that? On our head. Good. Now put the pen on your shoulder. On your shoulder. Very good. So I'm not doing it. I'm testing, remember. In class, we would do this as teaching, but if I'm testing, I'm not going to do it with you. Put your pen on your hand. On your hand. Good. Put your pen in your ear. No, don't put your pen in your ear. No, that's silly. Don't do that. So you can get them to move objects, even things like colors. Okay, everybody show me red. Show me red. Show me something red. Can you show me something red? Good. Okay, everybody, can you show me something blue? Something blue. Yep. So by giving some verbal instructions, we can test comprehension and vocab as well. Great. What about this kind of activity where we're looking at coloring or drawing based on instructions? Now, you could record the instructions and send it to parents, and they could do this as a out-of-class task, and they just have to play. But again, you want to take a video so that you see the parents and how much they're helping. Color the bananas yellow. Color the apples red. They could do this. They'll need to do this physically. But yeah, record your instructions, and then they can do that offline. Yep. Or yeah, in Google Classroom, you could adapt the activity as well with Google Slides. I think that it might be too difficult for students to manage how to do coloring on a slide. Okay. Now, what we might want to do is ask some questions about the vocabulary. This is for a higher level, maybe kindergarten B, but after you've taught colors. What is this? Everybody, it's a banana. Good job. What color are bananas? What color? Great. And
Yellow.
do you like bananas?
Yeah.
Yellow.
Great. Hello. Just some simple, hello, just some simple questions about vocabulary to check their comprehension of the vocabulary. It's good to use a picture as well. Miranda, can you please choose one volunteer for me, please?
Okay. How about Miss Ade Lucia? Okay, hi Miss Ade Lucia. Could you please to unmute yourself? Okay.
Yes, already.
Yes. Okay, so you pretend that you are my student, and I would say, what's this? What's this?
This is banana.
Great. What color are bananas?
Yellow.
Good, yeah.
Or it might be green.
It could be
sometimes.
green. Yeah.
Be green.
Or black sometimes.
Ripen banana.
Yep. To make the question easier, you could say, are they yellow? So this is a way we can ask maybe an easier question. Are they yellow? Because it's just yes or no. Versus what color? What color is a higher level question. How many bananas are there?
There are two bananas.
Great.
2 bananas.
Fantastic. Are there 5 bananas?
No.
Good.
No.
So again, the second question is easier than the first question. And do you like bananas?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Repeat the same with the different fruit. So this is comprehension. It's not just, do you remember the word apple, but it's also, can you answer some questions about color, about number, and a personal question, do you like it here? Yeah, great. Somebody raised their hand. Did someone have a question or a comment? No? Okay, great. So we can do this with all of the key vocabulary. So here, this would be like a kindergarten B, maybe second semester. They should be able to answer most of these questions, I think. Again, on your screen, do not have the questions on the screen. That's confusing. Just the pictures of the apples. That's all you need to show. What's this? What color are they? How many are they? Do you like it? I think that's a good number of questions, and they don't have to speak so much to respond. Okay. Another way we can test listening comprehension is to show a sentence with a picture and ask them to repeat. Again, this is not necessarily reading. This is just repeating after the teacher. I say, okay, Johnny, repeat after me. The pencil is pink. Everybody? You can unmute if you want to. Unmute. The pencil is pink. Again?
Pencil is pink.
Pencil is pink.
Very good. The book is blue.
The book is
Blue.
What color is the book?
blue.
How many books can you see?
One.
Good. What is the picture?
A book.
Good. Okay, thank you. Everybody, can you please mute your microphones? Thank you. Great. So that's kind of listening and repeating. We had that somebody in the chat box before mentioned this as an idea. So we could do this with, again, one-on-one testing like this. It could be you send a recording and you get the parents to record students repeating it, depending on how much time you have for one-on-one testing. With kindergarten, one-on-one testing is best, especially online, so we can really keep track of students. But I understand that would take a lot of time. Okay, next is looking at playing the audio and read the story aloud. Okay, so let's do this activity. This is from Rainbow English, again, a book that I wrote, a series with our sister company, publishing company, Asta Publishing. It's a simple story, and the first thing I get students to do is to listen to me. Okay, are you ready, everybody? We're listening? Very good. Sam is a fisherman. Every day he takes his boat out to sea. He throws his net over the side of the boat. There is something heavy in the net. He hopes it is a big fish. Oh no, it's a shark. Okay, then the next step is, maybe you would read it twice, depending on how much time you have. Now, the teacher reads aloud and the students repeat. Miranda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can we get maybe 5 volunteers, please?
Okay, 5 volunteers.
Yeah, yep, to read the story, to repeat the story after I read.
Okay. The first one, Miss Yunita, and then Miss Mali, Miss Sumitra, and then Melissa and Miss Krishna Yanti. Okay, for the name that I call, please unmute yourself.
You are not at me, Rita.
Great. Great. Yes, so sorry, just in the chat box before we start the story, Susanna has mentioned that parents don't like to be troubled by taking videos of their child. Definitely. So if we want them to do the video part of it for the writing testing, really try to limit it. That's why I said try to do as much as you can during the face-to-face session, one-on-one with testing students, because it will be the least, it's most time-consuming, but it'll be the least annoying for parents, maybe. Okay, so my volunteers, can you hear me? Can you wave if you can hear me? Yes?
Yes, I can hear
Fantastic. Okay, so please repeat after me. Are you ready?
you. Yes.
Sam is a fisherman.
Sam is a fisherman.
Great. Every day he takes his boat out to sea.
Every day he takes
out to sea.
Good. He throws his net over the side of the boat.
He throws his net over the side of the boat.
There is something heavy in the net.
There is something heavy in the net.
He hopes it is a big fish.
He hopes it is a big fish.
Oh no, it's a shark.
Oh no.
No, it's a shark.
Good. Thank you so much. We do that once or twice, depending on the time. This probably should be a story that they've already read in class. Otherwise, it's too challenging. This should be a story that they've already read. Yep. Then we ask some comprehension questions. Remember, they are not reading the questions. They are just listening to you. So, is Sam a pilot? Is Sam a pilot? Yes or no?
No.
No. Is he a fisherman?
Yes, he is.
Where does Sam go in his boat?
To the sea.
To the sea. Good. Does he go to the mall?
No.
Does he go to school?
No.
No. But again, yes, no questions are easier to answer. So if you don't think your students can answer, where does Sam go? You can say, does he go to school in his boat? No. Does he go to the mall in the boat? No. Does he go to sea in his boat? Yes. Does he use a net to catch fish? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there something light or heavy in the so is there something light in the net?
No.
Heavy.
No. Is it heavy?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Is it a big fish?
No.
No. Is it a shark?
Yeah.
Yes. And how does Sam feel?
Happy.
Does he feel happy? He's caught a shark? Does he feel scared?
Yeah. He got a big fish.
Depends. Maybe he wants to eat the shark. We don't know. So that last question can be challenging because it's not in the story. It's not like a factual question. But when we are teaching children we are also trying to teach them to think about how others feel. So maybe I wouldn't put that in the test, but when I'm teaching stories, when I'm doing story time, we always want to ask about how does the character feel and why, because it helps breed, it helps grow sympathy and making sure that we're taking care of other people's emotions, so social emotional learning. Maybe not for the test, but when I'm teaching reading, I definitely talk about the feelings of the characters. Okay, are there any other options for testing comprehension via distance learning? In the chat box, please type your answers and then we'll choose a few volunteers to share with the group.
Okay, we are waiting for your response.
Yeah, we have someone raising. We have someone raising their hands. Miranda.
Okay. Oh, Miss Sane.
Yep.
Okay, Miss Sane, do you want to share your ideas? Miss Sane.
Hello. Yes.
Hello. Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And
I'm Sing. Yes.
Great. Yes. And where are you joining us from again?
You're Myanmar.
Okay. Great. The international guests. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
And so what other ways can we test for preschool online?
TEFL.
Yes. For comprehension. Yeah. Particularly, it could be listening or reading or speaking.
Yeah. And so speaking also okay. Listening also okay.
Do you have any activity ideas that you could use for testing?
Yes. Shall I have to tell one of the story? You mean like that?
Yeah, you can share one of the activity ideas with us that you might use for testing.
Okay, I'd like to share your. In this morning, I saw one of the child. He would like to learn in English how to talk the just kinds of the people. At the time, one of the children too. Okay, please. Show me your apple. At that time, one of the child argumentative with this girl. Oh no, this is for me. At the time, why? What's happened? At the time, one of the child sharing. Okay, at that time, please share it. This apple. Share is much more fun. They said like that. Oh, that's great. Good idea. This attitude is very nice for its child. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. So that's another way that we can test is we can test the social emotional learning that's happening in the it's difficult because we're not all in the classroom. We're in the classroom. We have please share the pencils. Please, it's much easier to do that. But social emotional learning is a little bit more challenging to do offline. But yeah, definitely we can use stories to see if they can understand what's a good action and what's maybe something that is not good, like sharing or like not sharing. So yeah, great. We can use stories to help teach those lessons because we're not in the classroom to teach those lessons. Great. So let's take a look in the chat box here. We've got worksheet correctly again. That's something that they can definitely do at home, offline. Using a puppet, puppet's great for telling stories. Any ways to get them engaged and looking at the screen. Retell the story, fantastic. Describing stories in PowerPoint, definitely. Again, remember, make sure that your testing activity, if it's for formal assessment, are kind of short and controlled. If we're just teaching reading, teaching reading is great through puppets, stories, and that kind of stuff. Listening and putting pictures in order, great. Again, how can we do that online? Evie, are you there? Miss Evie, are you with us still?
Yes.
Hi, Evie.
Hi, Todd.
Great idea. How can they do this online with putting?
Actually, see, like we have sent some of the handouts to the students.
Mhm.
So there are pieces of papers.
Mhm.
So during the class, maybe we play the audio
Uh-huh.
and then tell the students to match. Then we, of course, we pause after certain kind of part of the story. Then let them
Mhm.
choose which picture is it,
Yep.
and then put the pictures in number one, number two.
Great. And so they have the physical pictures in front of them.
Yes, actually, we have the policy that we send the handouts to the
Mhm.
students,
Yep.
and then even like for some kinds of listening activities, like let's say like let's say there's a simple instruction like open your book, okay, color the circle with the
Mhm.
open your book pictures red, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yep. Yeah. So if you've
That's
got the
from Super
print.
Safari, sir.
Yeah, great, thank you. So yes, obviously it helps if you have a printed book. It saves lots of getting parents to ask for printing things that you've sent them. But also the idea of sending them manipulative materials can be also useful. Um, if you use Google Slide in Google Classroom with a shared document, you can get students to actually rearrange the order of things on a slide because it's an open document, but you need to send a copy of that. It's a little bit difficult, I think, for young learners to manage. So great, thank you. Yep, explain, ask students to a sequence of pictures. Yeah, so if you're looking at storytelling, typically if we're looking at storytelling, that's more of a primary school skill, but depending on what you're asking them to do. If it's to um, explain what's happening in the picture, I think that's okay, but we're not really expecting original storytelling at this age. It's a bit young, I think. Again, depending on your class. If you're maybe at an international school with a very strong English program, perhaps students are ready for that. Yeah, great. Students have a live board. Thank you, Mareka. Um, uh, Students have the small board and a marker for a live session. That's a really great way to get them to start forming letters as well on a whiteboard. But again, I didn't use that idea today because not every school or parents have the whiteboard access at home. There are lots of other tools that we can use offline. Great. Any other ideas for testing comprehension? Again, when I say we didn't really do any writing comprehension, I think that's too difficult for this age group. If we can get them to write words and we can get them to copy maybe a short sentence, that's not really comprehension. That's just writing practice or copying practice. So they don't really even have to understand what they're writing to copy. But again, that's done kind of manually. But the whiteboard idea is fantastic. There are apps that get students to trace the order. So somebody said before about how do we teach the order? I'm sure on YouTube there are videos that show a close-up of somebody writing the letters in the order. So look for YouTube videos. You could make your own video of you writing the letter A and narrating. So we go up, down, across, A, ah, A, ah. So you can add in the sound and you can add in the process as well. So make your own video, or YouTube. YouTube has almost everything that you want. Another way to do that is really, yeah, those two ways. Make your own short video for each letter and make sure you're describing the letter so they can remember the sound as well. Or look on YouTube. That saves us a lot of work as teachers, definitely. There are apps though that are tracing apps. One's called, I think it's called ABC, whatever. It's free, ad free, that students can use on a tablet, and it shows the correct order that it should be done in. So there are free apps for phonics. That's not for testing, but it's good for practice. why it's not good for testing is there's no data kept. You cannot access that as a teacher like you can on like Google Form or Nearpod or something, or WordWall. So it's good for practice for students, but it's not really useful for testing, I would say. Yep, use a writing pad. Yeah, definitely in getting students to hold up in front of the screen. Again, everybody has paper and pencil. Yeah, sometimes it can be difficult to see students writing, but it's a good way to do it. Okay. Any other ideas? You could do listening comprehension with a song, maybe. I don't think it's really that fair for testing, because songs with the music and maybe they're not hearing the words properly. So I wouldn't use songs for testing. I think songs are great for review, for teaching language, but not as a test tool. If it's listening, make it short and simple. Color the apples red. That kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the summary just before we finish up for today. We've got a bit of a summary, then we've got time for Q&A. So the summary is, and here we have some, and tips, extra tips as well. So don't make the test too long and make it as stress-free as possible. How can we do that? What are some ways we can make testing stress-free? Of course, it's your face that's smiling. It's use of pictures or audio or puppets or something visual that helps students focus on looking and not worried about testing. I don't even tell students it's really testing because it's a bit anxiety inducing. Yeah, don't tell them they're going to be tested. Fantastic. Again, please feel free to type in the chat box your comments and responses to these tips. I'm going to ask if people have other tips as well. And don't make it too long. So maybe I'm going to do phonics on one day and I'm just testing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then the next day I'm putting a little test of vocab. The next day I'm putting a test of comprehension, perhaps. Like 5 or 10 minutes, 10 minutes, no, that's too long. If it's individual testing, like 5 minutes probably. Yep, one area to be tested in one day. Yep, great. Here, that know how you will support your students if they can't answer a question. So for example, are you going to repeat the question or are you going to ask an easier question? Typically, I would say repeat the original question first and then ask an easier backup question. Why? Why should you always repeat the question first before giving an easier question? Any ideas in the chat box? What do we have here?
Educators, you can share your ideas through the chat box. Okay. We got a response from the teachers.
In the chat box?
Yes, in the chat box.
Yeah, one is they might not hear it clearly. Yep. Yes. Also that if you ask one question and they don't hear it or understand, and then you ask a different question, it's a bit stressful. It's better to repeat the question that they already heard, so it's not changing completely. Yeah, and then to know it if they can hear it clearly because of internet connection. You know, sometimes it's in and out. So to know if they can't hear the question before, exactly. Before giving them the easier question, we want to know if they can hear the original. So always repeat the question first. If they don't respond, more slowly and stressing the key words. What color is a banana, for example? And then if they can't answer, move on to, are bananas yellow? And also know how many times you'll ask. So if you say, okay, the maximum I will ask is each question twice, just so that you know that the test won't take too long, that you're giving fair help to everyone, that you're not advantaging or disadvantaging students. Again, I mean, it's a bit serious for kindergarten. You don't need to be that serious about it, but just so you know what you will do if they don't answer the question. Are you going to point to materials or pictures or something? Or, well, with your mouse, not with your hand, because I can't see what you're pointing to. Great. Yes. Next. I say tests should be done individually. Now, maybe for some of those tasks, yes, but some they can maybe do as homework or after one-on-one time. If it's anything that is based on identifying numbers, identifying letters and sounding out CVC words or sight reading, you need to do that individually, definitely. Because then I can really keep track of individual learning progress. Otherwise, I cannot see who answered the question. Yeah. Next. Yes, of course, test by phonics set or curriculum topic. Before I showed you that I had my little table, and it does look a bit excessive or a bit very highly detailed, but then I know exactly where student is for every skill that I'm testing. Yeah. Sight words. So I've got 4 tabs really for each student. And this is my sight reading and this is my comprehension. And I do comprehension based on unit. If I'm wanting to test the actual vocab, then that's a different tab. But here I have my skills. And maybe you don't need all of these skills here. And this is another student perhaps. So here we're looking at can segment, can blend, can trace, and can write. So for the next level of phonics, again, this will be one of the materials that you can download. So you'll have a copy of this to look at later. And this is for another student. We're doing blends and we're doing digraphs here. Can say, can identify, can say the sound, can say the name, can trace, and can write. Of course, can say the name would be of the letters. Great, let me go back to my other one here. Fantastic. Okay, make sure obviously that the tasks are simple and students have practiced these types of activities in lessons before the test. Don't give them something new in a test. They will not do very well. So if you're doing, you know, before how I showed you the what number is it, what color is it, what sound does it make, that if that's part of your regular phonics teaching, then when it comes to testing, it's not stressful. They already know what to do. They've already done the task many times before. Create your own record of assessment that clearly defines goals and achievements, like the Excel sheet that I made. You know, Google Documents so that your co-teachers can share and you have the same document. One of the great things about online learning. Yeah, review goals missed in previous tests. So you saw on my table before, I had X's with the skills that they couldn't do. Now I might send this as a homework task for them to practice again, or I might test them in the next session. It's really, again, what is the purpose of assessment? Ultimately is to keep track of progress. And if they can't do something in 1 month, we really should revisit to make sure they can do it in the next test. Otherwise, we're not really reacting with test feedback. Testing is how we know if our students are on track, if you're reaching your teaching goals. So it's definitely something that with the checklist that I showed you, I can see exactly who needs to review what. That could be done as a homework task, or it could be done in formal testing. Now, a report card or a message to parents can help them be aware of areas that they could help practice at home. Again, we have lots of different attitudes from parents. Some parents like to be involved, some parents don't, and that's okay. Obviously, it helps us more at this age, especially with distance learning, if parents are helping us. But it could be, you know, a report card saying, oh, they're having trouble identifying G and J. You can send them something to print or to write. and they can stick it on their fridge, and every time the child goes to the fridge or to the to their bedroom, what's this letter? What's this letter? And they can help their students review why. Phonics is very visual and very auditory, so they need to see those letters. Sight words. Sight words only work if they are seeing those words regularly. So if you have 3 sight words for that week, ask your parents to put those sight words somewhere near the child's learning space so that they can look at them. Okay. I think we have, maybe we'll just move on to Q&A. I think we've already had some other time for this, but now we'll have Q&A, but also Q&A can be sharing some other activities for assessing preschool English. We haven't talked about assessing other things like things that we do in class, like can cooperate with the teacher, can share things. We didn't do that because that's not English based and it's a bit difficult online. But let's open up the room, Miranda.
Okay.
So in a minute, we'll start Q&A, but Q&A can also just be sharing your ideas. It doesn't have to be a question. It could be sharing your ideas. Just to review that, we looked at the areas of English. What were the 3 areas that I looked at today? What were the 3 areas that I looked at today? Anybody want to answer?
Anyone who wants to answer? Okay, I see Miss Meina unmute herself.
Okay, great.
Phonics.
Yes.
Vocabulary and comprehension.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We looked at how to test certain skills online. And again, my session today was more focused on the testing that you can do face-to-face during a live one-on-one session. Also look at ways to keep track of progress. You saw the database spreadsheet and you will have a copy of that in the handout that you can download. And now we're doing the last thing, which will be discussion. Miranda, can I hand it over to you now?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Todd, for a wonderful and informative session. And educators, now it's time to Q&A session. And if you have any question or want to deliver your ideas to all of us, please use the raise hand feature in participants or more column, or maybe you can type it on the chat box. And Mr. Todd, previously I see a question from Miss Aristini on the chat box.
Okay, great. Let's start with that one then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The question is, which letter should I introduce first to my students? Capital or lowercase or both of them at the same time? I'm teaching Key 1. Thank you.
Okay, great question. There's more than one idea about this because, of course, it's teaching and there are different ways to teach. Most phonics experts say that we teach lowercase first if we're teaching the sound, and uppercase if we're teaching the name of the letter. So if your curriculum is heavily phonics based, then I would suggest lowercase first. After they know the sound, then they can know the name. Also, students see lowercase letters more often. In their student book, most of the words are lowercase. So I think start with the letter that they will see most often. If you, once you have the, depending on which curriculum I'm following, I typically, however, introduce them together. And the kind of chant is A, apple, A, ant. So it's the name, sound, word. Maybe we're not using a word to start off with. So B, book. B, baby. So if you're following something like Sounds Great, our Sounds Great book series for kindergarten, that's how they do it. And they introduce upper and lower together. But uppercase is for the name of the letter, and lowercase is for the sound of the letter typically. Yeah, which one do we teach first, the name or the sound? I say sound because sound helps them be able to read a word. Yeah, so for example, the word cat, we don't say C-A-T, we say k-at. So if we're trying to teach them to blend and segment CVC words, sound is more useful. Yep. So teach the sound first. That's what I do. But again, that's I teach in a very phonics-based approach. So that's how I teach. What's the best way to teach 3-year-old? Yeah, again, sound. Sound is better to teach first than letter. Yeah. If you look at citewords.com, there's also an article about teaching capital or lowercase first, and you can read that. There's a blog section on that site, so it does talk about things like helping children with dyslexia, so reading problems. So it's a good blog there as well. Lots of ideas about how to teach sight words and phonics. So please, it's a great resource. Check it out. Lots of interesting articles. Like some of you might have children with difficulty with spelling or reading, then there's an article about that, about capitals or lowercase first. So check it out. It's great. Any other questions? I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Yes. We still have a few minutes. So yep. Any other question or maybe any ideas?
Yeah,
maybe you can use, yeah.
I'm really interested in hearing how other people are testing their students as well. Just the more ideas that we share, the better, yes?
Yes, correct. Okay, we got a question here from Miss Evie. Mm-hmm. How to prevent students from confusion between Indonesian alphabet and English phonics?
Yes, and this is something that still happens up until high school, sometimes university level, especially with A, I, E sounds. So again, what you could do is, I mean, puppets could be used for this, for example, and you could have like an Indonesian puppet when you're doing Indonesian alphabet phonics, and a Westerner puppet, like a Boule puppet, to help you when you're teaching English. So kids can visually see, oh, it's Indonesian time or it's English time. So you could have a puppet, or you could just, on your slides, you could have a picture of, when you're doing Indonesian phonics, you have your Indonesian children, or when you're doing English phonics, picture of American or English kids doing it, so they can visually see, oh, that's Indonesian or that's English. So puppet, flag, they won't recognize. I mean, they'll recognize the Indonesian flag, but they probably won't recognize the British flag. So maybe puppets, Boule puppets, yes. Or characters you can make yourself. It could be SpongeBob. Although SpongeBob, they're probably used to listening to dubbed in Indonesian, so maybe that wouldn't help. But something to signify that you are teaching one language or the other. Yeah, something visual I would use. You could put on a different hat. You could put on your Indonesian hat, or you could put on like a baseball cap as a Westerner with a Union Jack flag. That's something visual I would do. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Todd, for your answer.
You're welcome.
Maybe one more, only one. Is there anything else?
Roy also asked if we start teaching the sound first, when do we start teaching the name? It could be in the same week. They don't have to be, you don't have to teach all of the 26 sounds before you teach the 26 names. But again, in some phonics approaches, we teach them at the same time. So you can either choose sound first, then name, or sound and name together, but not just name. Not just name. That's not helpful for them when they're trying to start to decode words. So as I said before, if in our Sounds Great series, it teaches them together. So it's A, ah, and so we have a big A and a small a, and we point A, ah, 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 ah. If we want to add a vocab, we can, or we can just keep it letter-based. So, yeah. 3-year-old students, yeah, oh, yeah, I have never taught that young. The youngest I've taught is 4, and really in person. So I haven't done a lot of online teaching for young learners, which is so problematic and challenging that I would let a 3-year-old play and not do much formal education. You know, in some countries they don't start teaching phonics and how to read until they're 7 years old. I think 3 is way too young to be doing anything formal. Yeah. What do we do when? Yeah, they're 3. It's difficult because 3 years old is really too young to be doing any kind of formal education. Songs, action, a lot of copying. 3-year-olds learn by copying. So we're going to be doing a lot of repetition, a lot of song, a lot of movement. You can do things like, you know, what's that? What is that supposed to be? Cat. Meow. Cat. Cat. But at that age, they're still a bit confused as to what's going on. So I think that that it's great to start teaching young, like 3 years, but don't expect too much. Yeah, song, movement, pictures. It's more listening based. They haven't even mastered their own first language, so I would not expect too much. But it's just exposure. If you think about how we learn our own language, when we are 6 months old, are we speaking our language? No. It takes us at least 1 year, 18 months, 2 years to listen, silent period, before we start to produce. So with 3-year-olds, it's just about exposure and just about repetition. Don't expect too much from them in terms of original output. Yep. Yeah, we can start with some fun things. Yeah, pictures, repetition, songs, formally recognizing letters. I think that's a bit too young, I would say. But if that's your school curriculum, it doesn't hurt to introduce, but don't expect that they will be able to do it. But you can introduce, that's fine. And it says here when parents start helping them. Yeah, I've had a lot of questions about that, with parents kind of over helping and some not helping enough. So again, all you can do is ask them, either give guidelines to the whole class as parents and say, when we're doing this kind of thing, please help with the technology. Please help with keeping them focused, but please do not help with them answering the question, because I want to see if they can do it themselves. But you know, it's not the end of the world. We're in a bit of a different situation that hopefully will end at some stage, and we can get back to face-to-face classes. But just to remind parents, I think it's also useful to do a monthly reminder. Okay, we're doing another month of online classes. These are the great things that you can do to help, and these things aren't so helpful. Again, I know that the relationship with parents in Indonesia is a little bit different to where I come from, where you know, teachers say do this and parents are like, okay, mostly, not always. But yeah, try to really guide them and encourage them. I think parents want to help, but focus on what they can do that's good. Like, make sure they have their book and their pencil ready. Make sure that they've, you know, gone to the toilet, they have some water, and they're ready to sit in there. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, tell them things that aren't helpful. Okay, that's it from me today. Thank you, Miranda. Can you take over now?
Yes.
From me. So thanks, everyone, for
Okay,
joining
thank
today.
you. Thank you so much, Mr. Todd, for a wonderful and informative session about online evaluation activities. Hopefully today's training will be useful and have our mind refreshed. So, since it's almost time, I have to end the Q&A session. But don't worry, if you still have any question, you can deliver your question or idea to the email and WhatsApp number on the screen. Silakan Bapak dan Ibu bagi yang ingin memfoto terlebih dahulu, saya persilahkan.